Pete. That's everyone runs their business
their own way.
Yeah, that's not a good impersonation. That is an insult. I don't fart, mate. Mark, come say bye. Bye, Mark.
Keep it simple.
Wait up.
What is going on, guys? I'm SimpleSimon, and welcome to another episode of the NOOB Absolute Podcast. I know we've been, absent and really not living up to our promises of this show, but we said at least once a month, and the last episode might have been 7 weeks ago, but it was February, and this is March, so it counts. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about, and normally 90 minutes would be plenty of time to talk about anything, but not when your guest is my guest. So make sure you drop a hi mark in the chat, and let me bring on my sidekick. What's going on, Lucian? First time live. Excellent. All right. Let's bring him in. Sorry, I'm not as prepared as I should be. Where's his little intro? Oh my God, this is taking too long. This is taking too long. This is taking too long. Where is he? Where is he? Here we go.
Say hi, Mark. 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 Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
What is going on, mate?
You did took too long. What's wrong with you're supposed to be professional?
Mate, I haven't done a stream for that long. I'm not. Once we start doing this, at least twice every 2 weeks.
Excuses.
I'll start getting better. I am the most enthusiastic Aussie YouTuber in collectible. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty enthusiastic. Bo from Aussieverse might have something to say about that because he's pretty enthusiastic too. All right, we got a lot to talk about, and like I said, normally 90 minutes.
Hi everyone. Hi Sean.
Sean is here.
Hi Lucien.
Like I said, 90 minutes is normally plenty of time to talk about anything, but when you got 10 movies to talk about, and Mark is the person talking, well, this is going to go. This is going to be tough. All right. I'm going to quickly go through the 10 films. How we're going to do this is we're going to start from the top. People who are listening to the podcast can't see you doing that, Mark. We're going to go from the top and work our way down. So we're going to chat about each film, and then we'll give it its ranking after we chat, and then move on to the next film. And then at the end, hopefully I'll remember, I'll be updating this list as we go. And at the end, we'll bring that list back and look at the overall data. How about that? Sound good, Mark?
Yeah, sounds good. Can you, I don't know, man. Can you explain it again?
This guy. So we're going. Let me quickly read out the movies for the people who might be listening to this later on. So we're going with Batman 66, then going on to Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Rises. I had to throw in at least one Snyder film. So we got Batman versus Superman. I don't care if you don't think it's a Batman film. His name is in the title. And then, of course, we're finishing with The Batman. All right. How about that? What a list. That's 10 films. I can't believe we've had 10 Batman films. Doesn't feel like it.
I know. You're right. It doesn't feel like it. But at the same time, it does feel like it.
Right. Well, the first one was...
There's been so many Batmans. There's been so many actors who play as Batman.
Correct. And good segue, Mark. If you guys enjoy this episode, or if you're not enjoying this and you'd rather a shorter conversation, Mark and I did an episode of the NOOB Universe where we ranked our favorite Batman actors. And the link to that episode of NOOB Universe is in the description below. And that was all Mark's idea because he's just full of ideas, this guy. There you go.
Well, what can you say when you don't have any hair on your head, not like you have peroxide in your head, that the sun hits my head more and it gives me more vitamins, inside my head. That's right. And it gives me more ideas.
Okay. All right. Well, we've already wasted 5 minutes, Mark. So how about we start from the top and we're going to go, what's going on, treasures? And we're going to go with Batman 66. And I'm going to let you lead the way in every single film, Mark. So
why? Why am I leading the way?
Because I work better when I bounce off you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Batman 66 film.
Oh,
First
okay.
of
So
all,
Batman 60. Do you want to hear my
oh,
ranking
no,
first?
no. We do the
You want
ranking
to hear
at
my
the
ranking
end of.
first?
We talk about the movie, and then we rank it, and then we move on to the next one. So talk about the film first.
Oh, okay. Okay. So when Batman 66 came out, the movie, it wasn't like mostly, in this day and age, a franchise, I suppose, a movie like that would have been released as a pilot issue or episode, but in the height of it, in the height of its popularity, the Batman TV show decided to release a movie in the cinemas, in the movie theaters in America, and this is Batman, the 1966 film, and
You're wearing the
it
T-shirt to
brought.
represent.
Uh,
You're
hey?
wearing the T-shirt to represent.
Correct. And it brought together for the first time, I think, ever, the whole cast of villains in one movie.
Absolutely. I've always said,
it's never been done before, ever again.
I know that's right. It won't ever be done ever again because
Never. It'll ever be done.
The Batman 66 film was a movie event, right? So when a TV show does a movie adaptation of itself, the best ones are the ones that make that movie a movie event. It's like, hey, we don't know if there's going to be another one of these, so let's make this as epic as we can, and that's what Batman 66 was.
Yeah,
correct?
That's exactly what it was.
Same with like
it was.
I was gonna say same as
Yeah,
South
what?
Park, the movie. Hey, Super Russ,
What?
what's going on, mate? South Park also did a great job doing a movie event, but I mean, how I was gonna say how young were you, but how old were you when you first saw that movie, Mark?
Oh man, I would have been. I don't know. I would have been in my teens. Definitely, maybe 16, 15. I would have seen that, and I would fall in love with it. And so many iconic. It was just so iconic. It had all the gadgets, had all the vehicles. It had everything. It even had a shark repellent.
That's right.
Have you ever seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it, Simon?
Mate, for a while it was my favorite Batman movie until Batman 89 came out. But like,
and how old were you? How old were you when you saw it?
I want to say they were playing reruns. I want to say I was watching those Batman 66 reruns on TV. Would have been what, 87, 88, I would say, because it was definitely before 89. Because when like, for example, Super Russ is actually older than me. He was introduced to Batman with Michael Keaton, which was weird to me because I was like, oh, I already watched Adam West Batman when Batman 89 came out. So it was a big shock to the system. But I used to love the Batman series. Like the way it was done, it was so good. And you know what the funny thing is? Even my parents, right? Like, my parents are pretty Asian. Like they don't know a lot about, but they knew all the actors that were in the Batman series and, all that sort of stuff. That's how big it was. A big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a big deal. Absolutely. It was just one of those movies where it was just like you said, it was an event. It just changed everything for Batman. That whole series changed everything for Batman. So it's just one of those. You just gotta. It'll always be around. Everyone knows who that is. Everyone knows who Adam West is. Everyone knows who Burt Ward is.
Yeah,
and so
I was going to say, and as campy as it is, it just it holds like it will always. There's always like. It's one of a kind, really. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to get a movie like that again. But as campy as it was, it's still an underrated film, I feel like, because it was great for its time.
Oh, it is. It's very campy. It's like, yeah. So, I mean, look, they had the iconic, they took a lot of the stuff from the TV show and put it in the movie, but they also had extra stuff, and they filmed on location a lot more instead of in the studio, and they obviously had a bigger budget and it went longer, so they could do more of a story. But yeah, I loved it as a kid. I very close to my heart. Absolutely.
Man, I was at one of the places I went to in Tayab, the packing house. There was a room. I don't know if you saw that video where they had all these movie posters, like vintage movie posters, and they had the Batman movie vintage poster. It was awesome. It was like $300, but
oh really?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. Really cool. All right. Very good, Bo. All right. So how about we rank it, Mark? Where do you put that out of the 10 films we're going to talk about?
Out of the 10 films, I'm going to stick it right smack bang in the middle, number 5.
Number 5. Wow. Okay.
Don't question me.
Hey, mine's not far off. Mine's not far off. So I put mine, and you know what? It could very well have been mine number 5 too, but what is my number 5 actually? I put it as number 6. I put it as number 6 for me. All right, so that's pretty close.
I think it's worth the number 6. I think, or number 5, that middle mark. I think it really hits in the middle. It's not obviously it was made in 1966, and so special effects weren't great. But I don't know. I put it there because it's in the middle and for nostalgia.
And it is, like I said, it is one of a kind, and it definitely is underrated. All right. The next one, I'm curious to see where you put this one. Batman 89. So, as I mentioned before, when I used to watch the Adam West Batman, I thought it was super cool, right? Like I used to, when you're a kid, when you like just pretend play like that you're Batman and stuff, like I was pretending that I was Adam West Batman, right? And then Michael Keaton comes out and it's like, who the hell is this dude? Especially
he's a comedian. He was Mr. Mum.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know who Michael Keaton was until Batman. So, but when obviously the aesthetic changed, it was really the beginning of a new Batman, right?
It was gone away from the campy. There was a pure comic book. It was a pure comic book movie. It went much more darker. It was a little bit. It kept it on the. It wasn't campy, but it had comic book moments in it. The Joker was very comic booky. Outrageous sort of that comic book persona. To have Jack Palance as the villain. Very classic actor, and he played a great villain, and mob boss. As Carl Grissom, and you had, Jack Nicholson, who got paid more to do the Joker than Michael Keaton got paid to do Batman, which is unheard of now. But back then, that's what they used to do. They used to get bigger name actors to play the villains, and you got used to that. And then you knew if they were going to pay someone more than the title character, he was going to die at the end. Because there's no way they're going to pay them more money to come back. Right? Yeah. So you always knew, that was a massive spoiler for me. But look, it was Batman 89 changed everything. Just went down. Frank Miller really changed everything in 1985. But this really cemented the Batman dark, the costumes, the car. It led the way to what we have now in the Batman movies. I think it really set the stage back then for what we get now.
Yeah, and just quickly for people watching, is Mark slowing down a little bit, or is it me? Because Mark, you're just freezing up a little bit for me. I don't know if it's him or me. But anyway, I'm hearing you fine. It's fine. Anyway, I remember when that movie came out, it was Batmania. Like I just thought about it then. It was literally Batmania. It was Batman everything. I remember going to the city with my parents. They had the Batmobile at Maya, and you could take a photo with it. And we bought it. I've still got the mug that we bought from that night. I wish I had the photo, though. I had a photo. I had a Batman cap. I had a Batman denim jacket. It was the world went Batman crazy. Like, that's how big of a deal Batman was when Batman 89 came out.
Wow, it was everywhere, man. It was everywhere. Every plumber and his dog had a T-shirt. It was in every magazine. It was in the paper. It was just everywhere, man. Like it was really, yeah. I mean, look, Warner Brothers had a lot running on it, had a lot riding on it, and it paid off. It made them a lot of money. It made them a lot of money, and that I think that's when they realized that I think they made more money on the merchandise than they did on the movie, and that's when they realized that's where a lot of the money is made. If you promote something, cross promote toys and with a movie, and yeah, it was crazy. I remember seeing it for the first time. I remember going to the cinemas. I had every magazine known to man that has come out, everything that was coming out. You know, I think they had like a Vanity Fair magazine. There was a Vogue magazine. I got them all. Like he was on the cover of everything and anything. He was in the cover of everything with the Batman's outfit. Yeah, Batman poster books, sticker books. I was getting everything at the time. Everything. I fell in love with it.
I had a poster book. I also had the soundtrack on cassette.
Soundtrack as well. Same soundtrack on cassette. Remember
the cassette booklet folded out, and each section was like a photo of one of the people in the movie.
Yeah. It was a great soundtrack. It was done by Prince did the songs, and Danny Elfman did the thing. It was great. It was just mate. It was unbelievable. That movie just changed everything. I fell in love with it. I just wanted everything and anything of it. How old were you when you went to watch it?
89. I would have been 7. So I remember seeing it twice at the cinemas. I saw it with I don't know if it was just my dad or both my parents. I can only imagine it would have been with my dad. And then I went again with the friend of mine from school. Now, when I went with my friend from school, his parents took us, right? And this was the first time I learned about spoiling a movie, because the movie was starting. You know, the start, it's got the camera going around that big stone, that symbol thing.
I fell in love with that. I thought it was great.
So that's playing in the cinemas, and I'm saying to my friend, "Oh, that's a big bat rock or something." I just kept saying it, and then his dad goes, "Simon, stop spoiling the movie." And I was like, "Oh." That was when I learned not to spoil movies.
I think I would have been 17. 18,
wow.
17, 18, something like that.
Yeah. And I feel like back then, those kind of things still appeal to older. I don't know. Like these days, like when kids hit 18 now, do they still care about that stuff? You know, I feel like back then, all that stuff still mattered when you were older for some reason.
But the thing is, nowadays, there's other distractions in life.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So for younger people,
that's in a world where there wasn't internet back then. That's why that movie had so much. That played a big part, I think, of it being so Batman, so big. Because these days, I've never seen a film these days that gets as crazy as something like that. Because now there's just so many other things. You know what I mean? Now it's just the people that are into that get into it. But the world will rarely get into a movie like that.
So what's your ranking?
My ranking, all right. Well, my ranking is for Batman 89. I'm curious to see where it is in you, because I know you rated Keaton, I think, the best Batman in our episode of actors, but I put Batman 89 as number 4.
Ooh, wow.
Number 4.
Wow, that's low.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's high on your list.
Yeah, well, I ranked it number 2.
Number 2.
Yep.
Number 2. Very good.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm going to give my reasons. I give that because it definitely set the stage for what we have now. That's why.
It was truly Batman Begins. That's what it should have been called.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
I liked the idea. I liked it. Anyway, I totally. Anyway, back next movie.
Batman
Next.
Returns.
Oh God, the nightmare that is Batman Returns.
The nightmare. What are you talking about?
Come on, man! Like, it made so much money for Warner Brothers, and Tim Burton was the gun in their eyes. So they just gave him an open checkbook and said, "Mate, do whatever you want, do whatever." And it basically got burtoned. That whole movie got burtoned. You know, nothing really was source material. You know, when it comes down to origins, yeah, the clowns were awesome. The Batmobile was still the same. The Michael Keaton was great. You know, all that was fine. But when it came to the villains, and that really failed. It just, I think that's what failed the film. I mean, Max Schreck was great. You know, Christopher Walken's always good as a villain or as an actor anyway. And Danny DeVito was a great choice, but you know, again, his origin was awful. You know, and yeah, and you're right, Super Russ, Catwoman was the best part of Batman Returns.
But even her,
it's still, and Simon's still traumatized by that Catwoman.
What do you mean traumatized?
Because you love that catsuit.
I do.
Yes,
but even so even Catwoman, like you said, like Penguin was kind of not very source material, right? Catwoman was also very far away from a traditional Catwoman, right?
Oh, absolutely. Way far, like super far. She was a cat burglar.
How did she become Catwoman in Batman Returns?
she was kissed by cats.
No, she fell out of a building,
and then all these cats came, and mind you, they didn't ask for consent, and they just started kissing her and biting her. That's how she got, and then she got 9 lives.
Yeah.
So you know, I just thought it was, yeah, it was that's what for me. That's what has failed, and that's why I gave it the ranking of 6.
6. All right. Well, so my memory,
it's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best.
My memory of Batman Returns was I liked it more than the first. Back in the day, I liked it more than the first one because for memory, I remember it being very dark, right? And when I say like the main reason I remember it being dark was when Penguin, spoiler alert, when Penguin dies and he's got the blood coming out of his mouth and all that stuff. Like to me, that was very dark. So I always kind of, that image and also just the image of Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, it all seemed like a very dark film. I rewatched it maybe 2 years ago for the first time in 20 years, thinking, oh, I really want to watch this. And Sarah happened to be on the couch, and she wasn't really watching, but, you know, she was just kind of there. And every now and then she looked up and she's like, is this really a Batman movie? And I forgot how campy it still was. I was like, wow, this is not dark. This is like really, it was very Tim Burton, like you said.
Yeah, it was just.
I forgot about that.
I think that's what failed.
But I think at the time when I was younger, I didn't think like that. See, now you're an adult, you think like that. But when I was a kid,
I walked out of the cinema very, 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 very disappointed. I was very disappointed.
But you're also like 30 when you watched that.
Dude,
I know.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Take it easy. See how he talks to me? Oh, it came out in 1992, man.
I know there are no images. This is a podcast, man. We're not. So there are. We're going to come back to the list later once we've finished it. But yes, this is just a podcast, so we'll be talking heads. So what did you rank it, Mark? You ranked it 6, did you?
Yes, I rank it 6.
Okay, very good. Well, like I said, it wasn't as good as I remembered, but I ranked it number 5. It's fair, right?
Okay, fair enough. Number 5.
Not
We're
too.
close. We're
Me
very
and you, we,
close.
me and you, we swapped returns in 66. Me and you, so that's where we're
Yeah,
at.
fair
All
enough.
right, next, Batman
Next.
Forever.
Batman Forever. Oh, man. Batman Forever. Let's have a look. Far out. What can I say about this? It went down the camp. He started going down the Batman 66 route. The only way it didn't go full, the only reason it didn't go full neon, like Batman and Robin, is because Tim Burton was still involved. He was producer of the movie, so it didn't go full neon. But and it changed. And so this is the first film that Tim Burton didn't direct, and Michael Keating was like, "I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here. See you later." So and then they got Val Kilmer in, right?
Did
1995.
Was a Schumacher that
Joel
directed this one?
Schumacher was the director, absolutely. And he came out saying that he was a fan of the 1966 film or series. So, yeah. So, and you could tell when you watch Batman Forever, it went from Batman Returns, which is really dark, no bright colors, very monotone, to Batman Forever, which was like full bright colors, full, costumes were bright, everything was just bright, neon red, neon greens, neon blues. It was just really bright. And I think Val Kilmer did a great job. He wasn't a bad Batman. The costume was okay. Nothing really changed there. But it was an okay film. It wasn't the worst film. I've seen worse. But it's not the best film either. I'd probably say, it's the villains in it. I mean, Jim Carrey probably was better suited as the Joker, really, not the Riddler. He played more of a Joker than a Riddler, but that's
true.
my
I never
opinion. Tommy
thought
Lee
of it
Jones
like.
is Two-Face. So in Tim Burton's '89 film, Harvey Dent was Billy D. Williams, and then obviously they recast Billy D. Williams. Harvey Dent crossed Two-Face with Tommy Lee Jones. So that was another, but it was very comic book. Very comic book. It was panel. It was like the camera shots were very like a panel of a comic book. That's what I
I was going to say it did feel very comic booky. With Two-Face, I can't look. So I haven't actually rewatched that in forever, right? So they didn't. Like Two-Face is already Two-Face, isn't it? There's no origin story to him.
Correct.
He's just Two-Face in it, right?
They do a little bit of it in like flashbacks.
Okay, but you see how Riddler becomes Riddler. I remember in it.
Correct. Yeah. The whole movie is Riddler becomes Riddler. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and he becomes Riddler. I mean, it's just I don't know. It was just it was too. It was too much of a throwback to 1966.
So I just remember when that movie came out, again, it was Batmania still, but it was mostly carried by Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey, when he was in Batman Forever, was at the peak of stardom. Jim Carrey the world was Carrey mania. Like it was Jim Carrey. Some
trivia for you.
Yo.
Some trivia. Who was the love interest
in Batman Forever? Was Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. And do you know what her character name was?
I can't remember who she was. No.
Something Chase it was. I'll tell you her name. It was Chase Meridian. That was Dr. Chase Meridian. Yeah, a psychologist. Yeah, it was crazy. Shoot, man, it wasn't the best film. And that is why I'm ranking that movie number 7.
Number 7.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore was also in that film. She was one of. I don't think she had any speak. She might have said one line in the whole movie. She's one of Two-Face's
She was,
girls.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, she's
right. Yes,
one
she
one.
was. She was Sugar. Her name
There
was
you go. You even
Sugar.
got the name. There you go.
Yep. And Debbie Mazar was in it too, and she was Spice.
She was the other one, yeah?
Yeah, the other one. That's right.
I enjoyed Batman Forever in its day. Back in the day, I actually liked it, but I think it was because
Me too.
big actors.
Me too.
It was a good film. I can imagine going back now and it just being, whoa, this is tough to watch. But in its day, I didn't mind it.
Yeah, in the day, I loved it. Me too. When I went to watch it, I enjoyed it. At the time, I remember I enjoyed it better than Batman Returns, because it was Batman being fun again, watching a fun movie again. But you know, but then you walk out of the cinema and then you start thinking about, man, it wasn't really that good.
Mark talks crap about it, and then behind him there's like 5 Val Kilmers in that cabinet. All right. So I also ranked
5 Val Kilmers. What are you talking about?
You got at least one.
One, of course. It's a Batman. If they're going to release an action figure from a Batman, it's Val Kilmer. I'm there. And I've got George Clooney as well.
All right. So I ranked Batman Forever number 7 as well. So we're on par. We're not
7 as well. Bang.
We're not too far off with our list so far. So we've both got 7s on Batman Forever. Next is Batman and Robin. Now, I'm just going to say straight out, I don't even know if I've watched Batman and Robin from start to finish. I've definitely seen parts of it, but by the time Batman and Robin came out, I think I was in that age group where I just didn't really care as much. I wanted to see it because Arnold. I actually might have seen. I just can't remember if I ever watched it or not. But from what I remember, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good. No, it wasn't good at all. It was terrible.
Well, hang on. So take me back to you. I'm going to assume you saw that in cinemas, right?
So, hey?
Hang on. You know what? I must have seen it. Wait. Because Alicia Silverstone, was she in Batman Forever as well, or was she only in Batman and Robin?
No, in Batman, no. She was only in Batman and Robin. In Batman Forever, we had Robin.
What am I talking?
In Batman Forever, we had Robin. Robin turned up.
Yeah. So okay. No, I definitely would have watched it because I was obsessed with Alicia Silverstone. So I definitely would have watched it, but it was so forgettable that I forgot that I watched it.
Oh, that was awful. It was, I think George Clooney made a good Bruce Wayne, but he just didn't make a good Batman.
He really looks the part of a Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and again, like this was a movie that Tim Burton was not involved in at all, and so the director Schumacher, he just went to town, and he went full 1966. He went full 66 on this film. He even had a Bat credit card, and that even had nipples on their outfits. He went full camp, and it was awful.
Man, that's so crazy. Now I'm starting to remember. I definitely saw that film, but I reckon, until tonight, for the last, I don't know, 20 years, I thought I hadn't seen that movie, but I definitely have seen it.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. I mean, you couldn't go really past Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. He was the perfect accent. Maybe he didn't look like a skinny science nerd, but the accent was there. And I'm a big fan of Schwarzenegger, so I was excited to see him do Mr. Freeze, and that was about it.
You were excited.
You
were excited, but what did you think when you got what you were excited about?
That's the only thing I enjoyed about the film was with Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. All these one-liners, they were great. I remember I thought they were funny, and it was like pure Schwarzenegger. It's like it didn't even have to be directed; it should just be Schwarzenegger. So I don't know. It is. They even ruined. They ruined, and you can tell it was one of the movies. It was like at this stage of the franchise, you can tell that they were making these movies for toys. You know, they would change the outfits mid movie, you know, to make more toys. You know, so you can see that what was happening, and that was the same in Batman Forever. You can see that they were making these movies, and the outfits were for toys. You know, so they could sell toys, and that's fine. You can do that as well, but you know, it was just when you're going at it at that from that perspective, they were always going to fail.
Is that true? Robin Williams declined.
It is true. Yeah. I've heard that as well.
How different would that have been?
Right. Would have been very different. Absolutely.
So what do you think of Chris O'Donnell as Robin?
I liked him as Robin. I think
he's good. I think he's good.
I think he was good. I think he was a good casting in Batman Forever. The costume in Batman Forever that they gave him was spot on for the comic books at the time, and then in Batman and Robin they gave him the Nightwing type outfit with a red bird on it. It was just awful.
What do you mean? It was new 52 Nightwing.
Right. Before New 52. So it was awful. It was just an awful movie. And then they had to insert Batgirl in there. Like, you know, does she get any training? Does she get any fight training, or are you just going to stick her in a suit? Like,
yeah, she's like just secretly rocks up and then she's just like,
yeah,
Batgirl, right?
right. Yeah, it just was shit. And George Clooney says, you know, I'm the one who destroyed that franchise. Nah, mate, it wasn't you, dude. Nah, mate.
What did you think of when you watched the Flash movie with that ending?
I just thought it was just fan service.
Yeah,
so out of all the people they could have got, out of all the Batmans they could have got, right? They got George Clooney. I mean, how stupid is that? What a stupid decision.
The one that ruined the franchise.
What an absolute ridiculous, just absolute ridiculousness. But anyway, I'm gonna go with the ranking for this one. I'm gonna go with 9.
9.
Yeah.
Guess what I ranked it?
What?
9. I ranked it 9.
Oh,
mate.
We're very. We don't know these rankings. If anyone's wondering, we did not tell each other our rankings.
Mark was like, "Do you want to know my list?" I was like, "No, I do not want to know your list. I want to find out at the end." So, all right. So we're at the halfway point, right? So we'll keep moving. We're about to move into the new generation of Batman, starting with Batman Begins.
Oh, Batman Begins. Oh, let's have Batman Begins. Where do I start with Batman Begins? I think it was good. It's the Batman movie we needed. I think. See what I did there? You see what I did there? You see what I did? Yeah, it was okay. Like coming from the perspective of what Christopher Nolan said, he came at it from the point of if Batman really existed, this is what everything would look like, down to his car, down to his outfit, down to everything. It's very, very, very grounded. And I think it worked. You know, it was okay. It was good for a first movie. It was good for, you know, Batman Begins. It's not perfect, absolutely not, but it's still a good film. It's a good Batman film. You know, I think Christopher Nolan's vision was very, very was very pure. I think when he made that film. And he didn't even really think about what came before. He just did his own thing, and I think that's got to be celebrated as well, because he's a really good filmmaker, a very stylized filmmaker. The music was awesome. You know, the dramatic music was great. It's very recognizable. And you know, Christian Bale was good as Batman. Yeah, he's not a big man, but he still played it well. You know, they didn't make that a focus. So it was good. I liked it. How about you, Simon?
I absolutely loved it when it came out. So when Batman Begins came out, I wasn't a Batman guy. I was like, I think I was working at Blockbuster back then, so I was definitely a movie guy. But by then I was like a young adult. I didn't care about Batman. Batman, it's for nerds. So I watched Batman Begins. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like it was. I like my comic book world to be grounded and serious, and it just felt like a real action film. I love, and I think it might have the story, like for you, like saying, it was good, but had mistakes. Like, I don't know who Ra's al Ghul was. I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't know the League of Shadows or Assassins, whatever they call it.
Well, in the movie, it's a League of Shadows, but in the comic books, it's League of Assassins. So I don't know why they changed that. Who knows?
Like, I didn't know any of that stuff. So I wasn't I was just watching it as a Batman movie, and I absolutely loved it.
Good. That's good. That's a good perspective. I think like the cast was great. Like I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember. I think I missed that one, but I didn't know. I didn't really predict it, but I think the cast was great with Cillian Murphy and Liam Neeson, of course, and Gary Oldman as Gordon as Jim Gordon. That was a great casting. What a great casting. Michael Caine as Alfred, great actor. So you can't really fault him because he was a great actor.
So interesting choice of villains too.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Scarecrow was either.
I think it was a good story, and I think the idea of Ra's al Ghul coming to Gotham to wipe it out was just full of crime, and Batman saying, "No, I can fix this," sort of thing, and we've got to be better. I think it was a really good movie in that sense, like of being the hero of the city, I suppose. So yeah, I think it had a good script, and the car was great, and Morgan Freeman was great, and had a really good cast. And I think with a good cast, sometimes, and when you got a good cast, a good director, and good script, you can't really go wrong. So I ranked it. I'm ranking it number 4.
Number 4.
How about you, mate? Tell me a bit about the movie, about anything else you remember about the film?
I haven't rewatched it for some time. I put it this way: for a long time, I was like, "This is my favorite Batman film," right? So, this is how I explain my ranking. If I rewatch the Nolan trilogy again now, my ranking might be different because it was literally my favorite Batman film for a long time. I did rewatch the Nolan trilogy, I want to say, probably 4 or 5 years ago. When I started to get into comic books, I rewatched them all because I hadn't seen the third one. I hadn't seen Dark Knight Rises. So I rewatched Batman Begins. I was like, this is still awesome. And then I rewatched Dark Knight Returns, which I actually didn't like the first time I watched. Right? So you keep that in mind. I rank Batman Begins number 2.
Ooh, wow.
Number 2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is a good segue into the next film, which is many people's number 1. Well, let's go through it. It's Dark Knight Returns, Mark. Firstly, I want to know.
No, it's not Dark Knight Returns. It's The Dark Knight.
Oh, shit. What? Is it just called The Dark Knight?
It's called The Dark Knight. That's it.
All right. Sorry. Dark Knight Rises is the third one there, right?
Oh, yes, that's the third one.
All right. The Dark. I knew I got something. I knew I got something wrong when I told. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Dark Knight.
Anyway, does it again?
The Dark Knight. Yeah, because I couldn't picture the logo being Returns, but it was like it's called Dark Knight Returns. Anyway, moving on. The Dark Knight. I want to know, Mark, how you felt when you left the cinema watching that for the first time.
Oh, I was speechless, to be honest. I was speechless. I don't know what to think of it, man. I walked out like gobsmacked, wondering, saying to myself, man, did that go for too long? Or what was the point of trying to figure out what the point of was the fairies and the bomb and him being captured and then being released. The Joker I'm talking about. But then I think later on, thinking of it and rewatching it numerous times, I got to say, I loved it. I think it's the pinnacle of Batman films. The story and script and message and this cast. It was just really good. I ranked it number one. So I think it was really, really good. I can't. There's nothing I could fault with that film.
So
except maybe the husky voice. Christian Bale's husky voice.
Did you say that when you left the cinema, you actually weren't a huge fan?
Yeah, no, I wasn't a huge fan. Just I was questioning the film. I questioned the film. You know, what was that all about? Like, what did it mean? Why did it go for too long? I think it could have ended sooner. You know, but upon watching it again and more than once now, obviously, I think it was perfect. I think it was a perfect movie. I think it was just a really good. It's got a lot of good morals in it, a lot of good lessons, and that you can take away from it. It was just a really good script. Like I said, I think it was the pinnacle because Batman questions himself about the whole. He questions himself, you know, and am I doing the right thing? Is this all my fault? You know, if it wasn't for me, would this be happening? You know, all these questions and all these that he goes through. You know, it's all the the responsibility he thinks he has for the city, and the repercussions and the responsibility that come along with that, with that train of thought, and then the repercussions of it as well. So, you know, I think it was perfect. I think it was and that's what a movie should do. It should question you a little bit, you know. And I think it was great. I think it was one of the best. It's like I said, I ranked it as number one. It was, for me, it was, yeah. How about you, Simon? How did you feel when you walked out of the cinema?
All right, so The Dark Knight, not The Dark Knight Returns, but The Dark Knight, I saw at the cinemas. So I went through a string of films where I would fall asleep in the cinemas. I literally would go to the movies. I reckon I went to 5 films in a row where I was just. So I didn't fall asleep in Dark Knight, but I was struggling to stay awake, right? Keep in mind also, I'm still not a Batman guy. So
at this stage.
Sorry?
At this stage, you're still not a Batman guy.
Still not a Batman guy, right? I've only been a Batman guy for like, what, a bit over 6 years. So still the noob, remember? All right. So I left the cinema thinking, firstly, with absolutely no right whatsoever to give that movie any judging, considering I was falling asleep for most of it, right? But to me, I was like, I loved Heath Ledger. Every time Heath Ledger was on the screen, I would wake up. Right? He was my wake-up call. He won
an Academy Award for it. Didn't he win an Academy Award for that?
He would have at least been nominated. He absolutely stole the show. Every time he was on screen, he just was a superstar. He was captivating, right? But the rest of the film to me was boring. I was like falling asleep, right? So it was very long, very drawn out, a lot of dialogue that I just didn't care about, right? So that was always my impression of The Dark Knight. So I always just like, everyone was talking about how good it was. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's the best Batman film, right? So then years go by. I read a Batman comic. all of a
He
sudden
won
I'm a
an
Batman
Academy
guy.
Award. He did. He did. He won an Academy Award.
After he passed away.
Anyway,
Right?
sorry. Keep going. Sorry.
So many years go by, I read a comic book and I'm like, oh, I am definitely a Batman guy now. So I decide to rewatch the Nolan trilogies. I rewatched Dark Knight. And not for a second did I think it was slow. I absolutely thought it was a sick film, right? But that was only one viewing, so I couldn't rank it above Begins. Still, if I rewatch them both again, I think I could give you a clearer judgment out of those two films, and maybe I'd change my mind. I ranked it number 3 because the last time I watched it, it was very, very good. Watching it as a Batman guy and watching it while I was awake. So it was very good. And still, Heath Ledger just absolutely steals the show.
He knocked it out of the park. He just took it to another level. And when you have the thing is when you have a great actor doing a great villain, your hero responds to that. You know, his co-stars respond to that. You know, like so the scripts are written for that. You know, like when you have a great character, great lines, you know his supporting cast or the supporting cast are gonna have great scripts as well. Because I loved it. I can sit down. You know, it's one of those movies where if it's on TV and you're walking past the TV, you got to stop and watch. You know.
Yeah, and also he kind of created his own joke because what I didn't realize, because still remember I wasn't a Batman guy, I never realized what Joker was really supposed to be like. I didn't realize that until I didn't watch Batman animated series until I was Batman guy in my fucking late 30s, right? And I feel like that's the Joker. That's like Joker's characterization is how he is in the Batman animated series. Very Jokerish, right? Heath Ledger didn't have that. Heath Ledger made him like a dark, menacing character, but still worked as the Joker. And I think moving forward, that's how the Joker's now going to be in live action films. I don't think we're ever going to get the comic book Joker in live action now because Heath Ledger did such a good job with playing like a more menacing.
Well, they tried to do similar sort of Joker, or with their own twist, I suppose, with the Suicide Squad. You know, that sort of backfired. It absolutely backfired. It absolutely backfired on just that was it anyway. But nothing compares to Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger was very, very good. And when if people were to rank Jokers, I'm guessing it would be Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson. 1 and 2. So Heath Ledger, even his outfit was great. His face was great. Even the way his line that he did with the knife. You know how I got these scars. So never found out really how he got his scars. Truly, that's really, was he telling the truth or was he lying? Who knows? So number 1 for me.
Very good. Number 3 for me.
Again?
Number 3.
Number 3 for you.
Yeah. All right. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We got Dark Knight Rises coming up next. And again, this is another film. I only watched it once, which was not that long ago. Again, it was when I was rewatching the Nolan trilogy, and I thought I have to watch Dark Knight Rises for the first time. So again, I don't have a great memory of it, but I also remember it being just meh. Like it wasn't to follow up from the Dark Knight, it was going to be tough. So,
Dark Knight Rises. I walked out of that film. I remember walking out of that film saying to myself, they knew they couldn't top Dark Knight, so they didn't even try. They didn't even try. And it has so many plot holes, that film, and Bane is awful. Like, I couldn't even understand the word he was saying. And Batman and Christian Bale's voice got worse as well, from the guttural sort of thing. That was worse. But one thing I took away from Dark Knight Rises was this is what happens. This is the repercussions of him walking away from him being Batman. Like whatever happened in Dark Knight, this is the result. you know. And I thought that was a good way to show that result. But I think the script wasn't as good. You know, stuff like, you know, I know, you know, and when you say stuff like, you know, I say stuff like, in the beginning when I said when Nolan did Batman Begins, and it was rooted in reality and really grounded. So when you send Bruce Wayne to a 400-year-old prison, and they can get cable TV, you know, or they can get TV. I mean, that's just, that doesn't make sense to me. He's watching the news in a 400-year-old prison. I mean, how is that? Why is that? Why have they got why? You know, and and all the bridges in Gotham have been blown up. How the hell does he get back into the city? So I thought that was a bit odd. I don't know.
See, Mark,
I know you're supposed to leave your brain sometimes at the cinema door. But when a movie is rooted in reality, you got to give us some reality, mate.
See, Mark thinks about all those things in movies. He'll be like, but how would this happen? What about this? What about that? And then I'll say something like that about a comic book, and he'll go, it's comic books, man.
It is. It's comic books, man. It's
You're
comic
allowed to in
books.
comic books, apparently. It's a comic book movie,
You are.
man.
Absolutely. Because, you know, in comic books, they'll explain it sometime down the track. They'll explain that shit.
Will they, though? They might not.
Yeah, absolutely. They always do. With a line they explain that they explain stuff like that in comic books, either with a line or a panel, they'll say something.
That's not true. Sometimes in comic books, it will end with a cliffhanger, and then and then for the rest of the series, they don't mention it. You have to go read an entire another series to find out what happened in that cliffhanger.
It might not be, but it might not be in that same series they explain it, but they might explain it in another series.
Now
like,
go read this title over here. Stupid.
Correct. That's right. What do you think? Why do you think they want you to keep going, man? They don't want you to stop at 6.
All right.
So
what did you rank it?
My ranking for Rises is 8.
Me too. Mine was 8. Well, hang on.
Yours was 8 too. Wow.
Yeah, mine was 8. Yeah, we're not too bad.
Okay.
We're pretty spot on here. I got a feeling we might be the same with this next one. The next one is Batman versus Superman. Now, I know how much Mark loves Henry Cavill Superman.
I do. Who said I've never said I hated Henry Cavill as Superman. I love Henry Cavill.
You love everything about the backstory of his
Man of
Superman.
Steel. I hated. I hate Man of Steel. Man of Steel sucked.
I liked Man of Steel. I thought it was great because again, I wasn't a comic book guy when I watched it.
Oh, Man of Steel sucked. Oh man, that was sucked. It sucked. But Henry Cavill was a perfect Superman. He had the look, he had the physique, he had the height, he had everything. He did play a great Superman. But he had a shitty script and he had a shitty director. So
right, but first let me take you back. Let me take you back for a second, all right? Because when Batman versus Superman came out, I still wasn't a Batman guy. So I want to know from you, who's always been a Batman guy, I want to know, before you saw the movie, wait, did you watch the trailer?
Yeah, I watched the trailers. Okay.
So were you excited for the film before it came out? Obviously with the showing the suit and all that sort of stuff, the armor and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of excited. I mean, after obviously seeing Man of Steel, no, I wasn't excited too much. But I hated the title. I mean, it should never have been called Batman v Superman. It should have just been called Dawn of Justice. But obviously, they were trying to keep up at the time with Marvel and with Civil War, coming out. So they wanted their own. They wanted their own Civil War.
But this is how the producers.
They sort of went.
This is how producers look at a movie. Oh, we're going to call it Dawn of Justice. No. It's got to have Batman and Superman in the title. We're going to call it Batman versus Superman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people don't know what Dawn of Justice is.
Yeah. So, I think it was a failure. That film was such a failure. The script was bad. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman was awesome. Very, Henry Cavill as Superman was great, and I think Ben Affleck was a great Batman. I think he looked great as Batman. I think it was good. I mean, but they just had bad scripts, bad director. It was awful. It was very dark. Like Wonder Woman's outfit was like dark red, dark blue. Superman's outfit was dark blue. Everything was dark. I mean, it's like they were. Obviously, it's following on from Man of Steel. It's like they wanted to. Warner Brothers was still high on the popularity of Chris Nolan's trilogy, and they wanted everything dark because that's what that trilogy was, very dark. So let's just keep going with the dark, and that resonated into Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man as well. Let's do a dark superhero film, So yeah, just my ranking for that film was 10.
All right,
it was the worst of the worst. It was so bad. It was just so bad. Like Doomsday was bad. In what world do we live in? Would they live in that they find an alien spacecraft and they put it in the middle of a city and they start researching it in the middle of a city? I mean, come on, man. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And and to the Doomsday, where Doomsday came from, man, give me the script. I could have written 100 times better script than that. I think my nephew could have done that. Could have written a better script. It was so bad.
That's what we need to start a petition. We want to see the Mark big city cut of Batman versus Superman. That's what we want. So I also ranked it number 10. Now let me go back to when that trailer first dropped, right? Obviously, I wasn't a Batman, but I had a few friends that were into comic books, and they were like posting about it on social media, on Facebook. Oh, I cannot wait! And I saw that's how I saw the trailer. The only reason I saw that trailer was because someone I used to work with posted it on Facebook and was like, I cannot wait for this. So I watched the Batman versus Superman trailer, and I made a comment on his post and said, wouldn't Superman just flick Batman into another universe? And someone replied to my comment with, like, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And then I watched the movie, right? And it just, I don't know, man. I just don't want a Batman versus Superman. Because, again, I want my comic books to be somewhat believable. And I just don't believe that there is a world that Batman is prepared enough, no matter how much prep time, that he can beat a guy. Like, the best part, actually, was when Superman first kind of decks him and then stands over him and was like, doesn't he say something like, consider this mercy or something like that? And then leaves? Does he say that? I'm pretty sure that was a line.
I don't care.
And I was like, that's right. Consider this mercy. And then Batman just wouldn't give up. And then I'm talking to this stuff about, like, because I was new. So when I watched this, I was totally new to comic books still. So I'm asking friends who love the movie. I'm like, but this, but that. And they're like, yeah, because Batman with prep time, he knows how fast, he knows exactly when Superman's going to make his move and all that. I was like, fuck off. I don't buy it for a second. So yes, I ranked it at 10. I don't know.
But Superman can use his all he's got to do is use his eye beams, mate, and it's from a distance, and it's done. All he had to do was heat up the Batman's armor in his head, like his helmet, and it would have been done. His head would have exploded. So no, It was just silly. It was just stupid movie, stupid script, stupid director. Everything was stupid.
Batmobile had machine guns, didn't it?
Yeah, the Batmobile. He had a gun. Yeah, they gave Batman a gun. They put machine guns on the Batmobile. But in Michael Keating's Batman, the Batman '89 Batmobile, they had machine guns. So can't fault it for that.
That's another thing I didn't know.
The only good thing about Dawn of Justice is the cast. I've got to say, that's it.
Yeah, it was a great cast. It's very wasted talent, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
An entire era, an entire generation of DC films were just
bombed. Every one of them bombed.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else on Batman versus Superman? No, let's just move on.
No, let's move on, please.
All right. So the last film is The Batman with Pattinson. It had a lot to live up to because everyone just thinks of him as the Twilight guy. But this film was, man, like I was excited for it. And to me, like, so when Batman Begins came in, I was like, this is the Batman. I wanted something super grounded. When I went back and watched those films, like, it's still kind of not campy. It's still very comic booky, you know? It's still a very, you know, comic book-esque type elements to it, right? But the Batman to me is about, I don't know how you can get more grounded. I don't know how you can get more serious. It wasn't an action film, you know what I mean? And I couldn't believe when I came out, everyone thought the same thing as me as well. Like, you know, how it reminded me of Seven, you know, like that's the first thing I thought. And then as soon as I started saying, like everywhere was saying that, I was like, okay, I'm not the only person that thinks that.
Do you realize that, you know, in the movie Seven, that the whole movie, it's raining?
Yeah, you were saying that. No, I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah,
no. I just know there's a lot of red, and stuff throughout the film.
So yeah, even in the Batman, the whole movie it rained as well.
And just the opening from the very opening scene, I was like, "Holy crap! This is going to be awesome."
I thought it was great. I thought it was a really good Batman film. You know, and being his second year, his outfit wasn't perfect, but it was still in the makings of getting better and better. You can tell the Riddler was very modernized. The villain was very modernized, you know, having, you know, live feeds to his crimes, and the Penguin was great. And then obviously the Penguin went on, did his own TV show, and I think Catwoman was great too. I think the true origin of Catwoman came through. I think it was very well scripted. The car was very. I remember the first time I saw the car, I bagged the shit out of it. I was like, "What the hell is this?" You know, like it's like it's a muscle car with a jet engine on it. I mean, whoop-de-doo. I mean, nothing special. But then, you know, you think about it. His second year, I sort of changed my mind a bit when I saw it. When I saw it and what they did with it and how they treated it like its own, like a character in the film, I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with the car, and I thought, then my mind changed about it because, thinking about it, his second year, he's going to have a low tech car, I suppose you can call it, and yeah, I absolutely, I like this film. Yeah, it's a very long film and it's very slow, but I think it was, I think it needed it. And even though we hardly saw him as Bruce Wayne, I think because how I always say, how we always say Bruce Wayne is the disguise and Batman is the true self. So
that's how you say it.
And I think, yeah, and that's how I think, and that's why in this, Alfred would say to him, "You got to learn how to be Bruce Wayne." So I think that was a good interpretation, and so I liked it. I ranked it number 3.
Number 3. So, man, I only watched it the one time. I bought it on 4K Blu-ray. I do want to rewatch it, but I just have to find a day where I've got 3 hours to spare. But yeah, I just couldn't have asked for anything more. It was so you know what I loved about reading. So just going back to when I became a Batman guy, I went back and read Death of the Family trade paperback. And the thing that really kind of grabbed me was that it wasn't really like a kid's story. The story was fairly adult, whatever word you want to use. So the first Batman story I then read shortly after that was The Court of Owls. And that was the first time I'd read a Batman detective story. And I loved it. I was like, oh, this is what he's supposed to be, right? When you're not a Batman guy, you forget that he's a detective. You just think he's a crime. I didn't even know that he wasn't supposed to kill before I was a Batman guy, right? So when I was reading The Court of Owls and it's really a detective story, I loved it. And that's what this movie did. It's the only, has any other movie really delved into him being a detective?
Yeah, it's the first movie. It's the first time they really delved into him being a detective. I mean, they showed little bits of that in Batman Forever with Val Kilmer when he had to work out who Enigma was. He worked out who Enigma was, and then in Michael Keating's Batman '89, he's the one that gave the public the formula for the Joker for the Smilex. Like, so they showed snippets of it in other films, but this one was like really full on. The whole forensics, the whole that sort of thing, seeing the crime scene. Like, yeah, I loved it. I love that side of it. And I've always said to myself, make him a detective first and foremost. And I never have, because obviously that doesn't. It's not executives would be saying, but that doesn't sell movies, man. We need a bit of the flash and a bit of the bang, and we need a So, but I think I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad that they finally did it.
Did you see the deleted scene with the Joker in it?
At the end, yeah, I did.
No. There's a deleted scene they released.
Yeah, they did. Yes,
you've seen that, yeah? I thought it was great. People were knocking it. People were going, "Oh, he's trying to be Heath Ledger." I was like, I loved how they didn't really show his face, but they had all the the warts and all the gross stuff on his skin. I really dug that scene, and I think again that's the type of Joker you're going to get in this movie. Is this really fucking dark, psychotic maniac?
Well, I don't know. After they really pushed in that movie, they really pushed the police corruption in Gotham, and I thought that was really good, because that's what was the core of Batman, stamping out corruption in the police force. Him and Gordon worked together to do that, and I thought that was really good to see that happening. And I think after leaving the movie, I felt a little dirty, to be honest. Like, it was just really a filthy film. You can actually smell the set designs, and they can actually smell the street.
Wait a second. Didn't you go see it? Didn't you go see it in one of those 4D cinemas? Maybe that's why. Maybe the head smells going.
That was the second time. I went to see it about 3 times at the cinemas. One of them was at the
Mark
4D.
Went and saw it. Mark told me he went and saw it, and the chair was like going crazy when the Batmobile chase.
Correct.
That would have been cool.
It was awesome. It was great. It was a great experience.
All right. Well, I ranked The Batman. We're going to bring up the list now, guys. I've been updating it as we go. I was so scared I was going to forget, and 3 films, I'd be like, I haven't been taking down the notes, but I have been. So here is the finalized listing. I ranked The Batman number 1.
Wow.
And there it is. Our list was pretty close. So Batman 66, you went 5, I went 6. Batman 89, I went 4, you went 2, so that was kind of a bit thrown out. 5 to me, 6 for you for Batman Returns. Batman Forever, we both said 7. Batman and Robin, we both said 9. Batman Begins, I went number 2, you went 4. Dark Knight, you went number 1, and I went 3. Dark Knight Rises, both said number 8. Batman vs. Superman, both said 10. And then the Batman, you said 3, and I said 1. So that list was actually, I'm surprised that we were so similar on a lot of those.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised that being that I'm ancient and you're not.
That's right.
I thought maybe we'd have different rankings. We'd be much further apart.
Yeah, I was expecting Mark to be like, Batman 66, number 1. That's the most realistic Batman there was. That was my Batman. All right. Well, we were originally going to do some Batmobile talk. I don't know if we've got enough time with only about 15 odd minutes to go. I actually want to ask, instead of doing that, Mark, a movie that we didn't mention, which really should count, is something like, what's that animated one? The Phantom, what's it called?
The Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah. I don't know. Put that somewhere in there. Was that good for you? Because I watched it. And, sorry,
that's a great film. That's a great film. It's Batman animated to its core. It's it got an update in special effects. They remastered it, and then they released it at the cinemas. Can't remember when. Maybe a couple of years ago during the animated series anniversary, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Did they?
Yeah, and then there was other movies they did as well.
Well,
but yeah,
one of the things.
Mask of the Phantasm was basically ripped out of a comic book arc, Batman Year 2, I think it was. Something like that.
So just before I got into the comic books, I was starting to become interested, right? I was starting to become interested. I hadn't read one yet, but I was like, I like the Joker. And I saw The Killing Joke. It was on special in the Blu-ray tape bin, you know? I was like, oh, I like the Joker. I'm going to watch this, right? And I didn't know what The Killing Joke was. So I watched it. And first things first, they added to the story at the start of the movie, right? So for those who haven't seen it, and again, remember, this is me when I wasn't a Batman guy. At the start of the movie, Batman and Batgirl bang for...
She gets the bat. She gets the bat dong.
Yeah, and so when that happened, and I'm watching this as a non-Batman guy, I literally just went, wait a sec. I literally sat up and I was like, wait a sec. Is that a thing? I was like, is that... I didn't know, because again, I'd forgotten that Batgirl was Gordon's daughter. I just was like, wait a sec. Does Batman bang Batgirl? Is that a thing in comic books? I didn't. And then what I did was I watched the special features to that on that Blu-ray, right? And that's where I learned that Killing Joke was a comic book. And that's where I also learned when the makers of the film were like, yeah, it only ended up being 45 minutes. So we had to make it at least a 60-minute film. So we added that bit at the start. I was like, wait a sec. So you guys just made up that Batman banged Commissioner Gordon's daughter. And now, back then, I didn't see how big of a deal that was. But now that I've been Batman guy for, 6 years plus, that's a big deal. You can't just make Batman bang Commissioner Gordon's daughter.
It was a shocker, man. It was a shocker. That was the worst. How ridiculous was that? That was so ridiculous.
That's good. Sidekick or side chick? Yes, that's good. Old Wolf, you been here this whole time? Hey, you got it the wrong way around, mate. He's the side.
No, Old Wolf. You got it right, buddy.
Or maybe if you look at our t-shirts tonight, you might notice maybe we're Nemesis instead. I got a Joker t-shirt in case you can't tell. No, you wish. You wish? What do you mean?
You wish you were my nemesis.
You need me as much as I need you.
And you need me.
That's right. All right. Well, we'll maybe get wrapping up soon, but just a bit. I mean, there's multiple animated movies, right? There's not just
there's one.
I just remember when Mask of the Phantasm was out, it was like a big deal, and again, that was when I was like decade away from being Batman guy. I was like, why is everyone going off about this Batman cartoon?
They did the animated movies. They did a lot of adaptions, like comic book adaptions. So they did Under the Red Hood, but this is back in the day, and they were basically like for like. Under the Red Hood and Year One, Batman Year One. They're
not like for like.
Yeah, like for like. Yeah. Huh?
Well, they're not like for like. What about Hush?
No, I'm talking back in the day, man. I'm coming to that.
Okay.
I'll take it easy. Just Killing Joke was an animated movie, and that wasn't like for like. So they lost their way somewhere because they were idiots. And so, The Dark Knight Returns, they did that in 2 parts, and that was like for like. That was great. Son of Batman, that was all right, but when they tried to do like Hush and they stuffed that up, they totally changed the outcome, and it's what they totally changed what made the comic book Hush great, and they stuffed it up. So yeah, animated movies now are just bad. I don't even bother anymore watching them.
Just quickly to Matt H. If you missed the start, in the description of this video, you'll see there's a link to an episode we did called Who Played the Best Batman? And we talk about, it's only a short video. It's only 15, 20 minutes. It's not a 1-hour podcast. It's just one of our episodes we did. And we actually talked about, we ranked the Batman actors. So if you want to go and check that out, the link is in the description.
That's right.
Hush is the best series in my mind. Yes. So Mark, for years, was hounding me to read Hush. You got to read Hush. You got to read Hush. And I was like, all right, calm down. And then 3 years later, I decided to read it. And it was good. It was the first time I actually read anything that had Jim Lee interior art. And the art was phenomenal. I was like, whoa. Now I can see why people like Jim Lee so much.
It was just I don't know, like Hush is just the pinnacle of Batman, in my opinion. Like the stories, it's got everything you would want in a Batman story in 12 issues. You know, it's got detective work, superhero stuff. It's got a love story. It's got villains. It's just really good. I just think whenever anyone would come into the store and say, "Oh, I want a Batman story," that's what I push him towards, because it's got everything, and that's the beauty of Batman, is that he's very relatable. He can be whatever you want him to be, and that's what that Hush was. So, and then to see it in an animated movie, I was very excited, and then I was very let down. Very
I want to watch that Death in the Family one, which is like choose your own adventure.
Yeah, Matt asked me a question. Matt, did I like Long Halloween? I'm not sure. I'm still not sure about that. I'm not sure. I don't know. They did it in 2 parts as well, but I think the book is better. Whereas the example of that, like Under the Red Hood animated movie is just as good as the comic book. It was very, very good. And,
yeah, I watched that one, and a lot of people. I remember hearing a review. I think it was Comic Pop. They were talking about the animated series of Under the Red Hood. Were like, Under the Red Hood cuts out all the fat that the actual comic book has, so it was like perfect. The one that I remember when I first got into all the comics and I started watching some of those animated ones, one I enjoyed was Batman Year One.
Yep.
I just remember that again being a bit more adult. Like I remember Jim Gordon cheating on his wife and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jim Gordon. No wonder Batman. I mean, no wonder your daughter's banging Batman.
Absolutely. I mean, it's Frank Miller, man. So it was always going to be a little bit darker. But yeah, I mean, with that Gotham series, I mean, I struggle to watch a series that's called Gotham with no Batman, and then to introduce all the villains without Batman.
Yeah, that's why
I got Bruce Wayne as a kid.
That's why
I found it hard to get into it.
So yeah, I think if you can, I just found it hard. I think if you can just for a second think of it as, and it's a comic book, Mark, then you might enjoy it, because Sarah loves it. Sarah loves Gotham. And again, I wasn't a Batman guy when that came out, but to me, I watched an episode on TV one night and I was like, wait a sec, why is Bruce Wayne a kid and these villains all old? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, Correct. It just didn't make sense. So for me, the reason I'm not huge on Elseworld type stories is, cool as they can be, they don't matter, which is why I don't care.
I couldn't get into it, and it's you know what, and it just wasn't made for me. It wasn't made for me. Same as a lot of the CW stuff. The later series, the first couple of seasons of Arrow and The Flash, yeah, I liked them. But then in later seasons, they weren't made for me anymore. They were going away from my demographic, so I stopped watching them. I enjoyed some of it. I enjoyed Titans. The first season of Titans was good. That wasn't the best. I liked the Peacemaker. That was okay. Peacemaker was good. All the Marvel TV shows pretty much sucked. So except for Netflix's Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
Have you watched the new Daredevil that's everyone's banging on about?
I have.
Is it good?
It's It's not bad. I've seen worse, but it's not good either.
Okay. Mixed reviews as always from
Mixed
people.
reviews. Got to wait until it's over, until I give a full review. But apart from that, like the animated series for me is, it came out, and they banked on Batman '89 or that sort of part of the franchise, and it was very, very good. I mean, the Batman animated series for me, it just stands up. It'll always stand up. It'll always be timeless to me. The stories were great. A lot of the stories were taken straight out of the comic book. Like, Ra's al Ghul's origin was done panel for panel. So that's one example. But they've got great episodes in it. It was just a really good series, and that's why it went on for so long. It was made for adults, but kids could watch it too, and that's that's the beauty. It had a great balance. And that was the same with X-Men '97, or when X-Men in the '90s. It was made for adults, but kids could watch it too. Great balance. So,
all right, mate. I think we're going to cut it because we're about to hit the 90-minute mark, and I know Sean's about to go live over on his channel. So just so we don't interfere, and I got to chat to you briefly before we go. So maybe next week again, maybe Mark, 2 weeks in a row. Would that be possible for the Noob Absolute
2 weeks in a row, maybe? What are you going to be prepared? Are you going to be prepared? # prepared guy.
Mate, I'm always prepared. I literally this thing here. When you messaged me, you said, "Are we still podcasting tonight?" I was making this. I was making this thing.
Oh my god! Are you serious? Are you serious?
All right, guys. We're gonna wrap it up. Hopefully, next week we might be here again. So tune in. Same mark time. Same simple channel. We've filmed an episode of the Noob, which I haven't edited yet, where we talked about martial art movies. So if you're into the movie talk, that's really where Mark is. I mean, Mark's obviously good at comic books, but I guess we both kind of have knowledge in different areas of the comic book world. Mark is a movie buff guy. He can break down a film like a real critic would. I'm just like, I thought it was good. So
one day I will do that. I'll do that on YouTube. I'll start my own YouTube channel doing movie reviews and other reviews and. Hey,
movies with Mark. That's a great name.
Movies with Mark, yeah. Maybe I'll review food, maybe. And
can I come to those? Can we collab on the food ones?
Yeah, we can do that. Burger joints. We'll go review burger joints.
That's a good idea. Although I should
maybe get some free food if you tell them we'll review it on YouTube. Maybe you'll give us a burger for free.
Maybe. Great idea. Maybe you'll give us all the free burgers.
Coming soon.
Right. We're going to wrap it up. Again, if you guys enjoyed the Batman talk and you just cannot get enough, I've got a link to our episode of the Noob Universe where we we ranked our favorite Batman actors. So the link to that episode is down below. It's not a 90-minute podcast. It's just one of our shorter 15, 20-minute episodes of the Noob. So do check that out if you want. And that's it. We've got, hopefully next week. We'll see. I'll discuss with Mark. But thank you, Mark, for making it tonight.
Thank you, Simon, for all your organizational skills.
Hopefully we'll see you on Movies with Mark soon. When you do, we'll plug it on here and we'll get you started, mate. We'll get at least 5 subscribers.
Thanks, mate. Thanks.
All right, guys. Have a good night, and we'll speak to you guys soon. And say bye, Mark.
Bye, Mark.